first question, which was, what made you want to write your book, Dirty Lazy Keto, Start Losing Weight While Breaking the Rules? Why?
Well, Tamara, I appreciate you asking that question. What made me want to write this book is I feel like I finally have come up with a solution to the weight loss riddle. For myself, I have struggled with being overweight since I was in the second grade. I have always been overweight, always. I remember being on diets and my parents trying to bribe me with Jordache jeans in the second grade. I must have been 8. So I have a long history of being on every diet in the world. And my weight, it just continued to skyrocket. It got much worse as an adult. I know Tamara has known me throughout this whole journey. And I think when we first met Tamara, I weighed probably close to 300 pounds. I was classed as morbidly obese, 3 on the BMI scale. I wore size 24, 26 clothing, basically like a size 3X, 4X at Walmart. I felt very ashamed. I thought something was wrong with me. I felt I needed fixing. And I had been told that I did not have any willpower. And all of those things just made me feel like crap, I'll tell you. But once I figured this out, Tamara, this took me a little while of trial and error. But once I figured it out and I called it Dirty Lazy Keto, I felt really confident that my weight loss was going to stick. And that's when I thought, I'm going to write this down. Like, I felt compelled. Like, it was like the fountain of youth. Yeah. Seriously, like, how is this possible? And now I'm getting all fired up because there's no way I could have kept it a secret. So I wrote it and I was determined to get the word out there. And that's why I wrote the story.
I'm so glad you did, because I know people will really relate to your book. Like, let me just start with a basic one, because part of the title of your book is that you're breaking the rules. So tell people, like, what rules are you breaking?
Well, Dirty Keto definitely means break the rules. And I even put that in my title. It's like, break the rules and lose the weight. Because real life is not black and white. In my opinion, in order to lose weight, I needed more flexibility. And most diets are very all or nothing. It's like, oh, if you don't do this and buy this expensive crap, then, you won't be successful. And I completely disagree. I think strict rules are impossible to follow. I could do well for like 2 hours or 2 days tops. And then I would mess up. And then I'd feel terrible. I'd feel ashamed, hopeless. I'd end up feeling worse about myself and I would give up. So on a very big level, I think that's what breaking the rules means. And then, it just keeps going. I think my whole life I've been taught fat is wrong. Fat is evil. I have to eat whole grains. I've actually had someone tell me I would be malnourished if I didn't start eating toast. I'm like, wow. I don't think so. I don't need toast to survive. But even, a lot of critics will say, oh, you shouldn't eat eggs or fat because that causes high cholesterol. People tell me, oh, you can't lose weight if you're snacking between meals or eating big portions. And even people say, oh, you can't have dessert and lose weight. And I set out to prove all those people wrong, and I did.
You did.
Ha ha, ha. My way works too, Mr. Critic.
It does. And I love you have a whole list of myths, and they're like every diet I've ever been on. Like, fat is bad. And I'm like, it's crazy, but it
really is.
But it's refreshing. Like, it's not a list of, restrictive rules that make you feel horrible, like you said. So to me, that's what's awesome about your book. And in fact, that was my next question. Like, what is so different about your book from all the other diet books?
Well, I think mainly there's no judgment about your lifestyle. I think that's key, just as a big umbrella term about Dirty Lazy Keto. There's no judgment. If you want to drink Diet Coke or beer or put sugar-free sweetener in your coffee or even drink like sugar-free Red Bull, like, do it. This is your life. You need to be able to have lunch meat or peanut butter, shredded cheese, a protein bar. These are normal foods. And my family, we eat fast food. We shop at Walmart. I don't buy expensive, fancy pants type ingredients that are going to blow my family's budget. So that's one thing. I think that Dirty Lazy Keto is more affordable. I think it's flexible. I think it's doable. Like I mentioned, other diet books, keto included, they're very black and white. It's always set up as a do or die situation where you have to follow the rules and you have to eat all this stuff. And if you don't, it doesn't work. Well, I think there's another way. So no thanks, buddy. I don't want, that's what like, no thanks, buddy. I don't want any of that. My book is the opposite of all of that. I think that losing weight is not just about cutting carbs. It's so much more. And the companion guide that I wrote is going to help people from their whole journey, from the very start to the finish. Because I wrote this book, Tamara, I think people will trust me. I'm not like a nutritionist or some kind of expert. I'm just a regular mom. And this is my story. I mean, I figured this stuff out on my own.
You know, one other thing I would add that I think is different about your book is it's very relatable. Like, you know, you and your, no thanks, buddy. You know, you use your very like relatable language. You know, what is that one? Buddha something. Buddha.
Oh, the but I used to.
Yeah, but I used to.
The but I used to syndrome. Like, but I used to weigh, 120 in high school. But I used to, run a mile in 10 minutes. But I used to do, I'm like, get over yourself. Like, we need to get back to where you're at now. If you're 50 years old or 60 or 42, start where you're at and make realistic goals for yourself. And then I'll help you get to the finish line. But yeah, the first chapter I talk about like just starting off with realistic goals and, getting to know who you are right now and your own habits, because that's the key, right?
Yes. And you do it in a language that's fun and sassy and not stuffy and scientifical, which is another of your little words you use.
Right. I know in the preface, Dr. Mike Jones, he's an obesity specialist in Virginia, and he cracks up at my language, and he works with a whole medical center. He's a physician with other doctors in West Virginia that help patients manage their weight. And he always cracks up at my language because he's like, Stephanie, it's helpful to explain this stuff in a way that's common sense. A doctor can say it to you blue in the face about diabetes and insulin shots and, blood sugar levels and A1Cs. But if that doesn't make sense and connect with someone who's in love with potato chips and can speak the language that people understand, then I don't think the message will get out. So I just try to be honest. I don't talk anything fancy. If you guys like how I talk on the podcast, then you're in luck because that's exactly how I write. With nothing scientifical, right?
Exactly.
Nothing. And I feel like I'm trying to offer solutions, and I do it in a way with girlfriend style advice. Not just on what to eat, but how to overcome a lot of the obstacles. Because let's face it, I don't know about you, but I have in the past lost a little weight and then gone out to celebrate with like a sundae. Like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
You're losing weight and everything's going great. And then you go to happy hour and all your friends are having cocktails and appetizers. And then all of a sudden you think it's a good idea. So I feel like part of the book addresses those kind of real life situations with practical solutions on how to get through it and still come out feeling happy and confident with who you are.
Yay. Yes. So if someone's totally new to Dirty Lazy Keto, what can they expect inside your book? Like what actually is the layout of the content? Okay. So the very first half of the book is super hands-on and practical. We all start a diet and you're like, okay, what do I eat? No one cares about anything else. Like, what do I eat? Tell me the meal plan. Tell me, what do I eat for breakfast tomorrow? How do I start? So the first half of the book is just super hands-on, practical. I recommend this, not that. And this is why. And it just explains the keto diet in a way that is simple and it's funny and people get it. And that's the feedback that I've gotten. We go over super basics. Like I say, like there's a team. It's just me. I go over how to read a nutrition label, just an overview, like I said, about all the terms, the glossary, all the words that are used in keto land. And then really it goes to the next level. So after you get your grocery list, your meal plan, your foods that you want to eat and not eat, then we go on to the next part, because we all know cutting carbs is just a tiny part of the weight loss riddle. What happens next, like I was mentioning about the cake pushers or dealing with relationship issues, when your family doesn't support you, that's the second half of the book.
And that's where the support guide really comes in handy.
Nice.
And like you said, I think it's funny if I say so myself.
Yeah.
Relatable, easy to understand.
Yeah.
It's all just from a normal person.
Yeah. Like you can buy all the ingredients from Walmart from your recipes. Like this is not fancy.
In fact, that was a condition of mine. When we worked, like my husband and I, we've written the cookbooks as well. And that was a condition of ours. Like, hey, we're not putting anything in our cookbooks that you can't buy at Walmart and that's affordable. Because that's how we operated. At times, one of us was not working, or both of us. There were times where both of us were out of a job, and we had, very limited funds. So for me, it was important to recommend the same types of foods that I eat. It's all real food, nothing fancy. And furthermore, I don't know about you, Tamara, but I've read keto books before that don't contain the net carbs for what you're eating.
Oh,
it drives me crazy.
Or they do, and the net carbs are like 30. And you're like,
right?
What?
You're like, no, that's a little much for that one piece of chocolate brownie.
Yeah.
Seriously. So I actually spent probably 10 full days looking up hundreds of food items. That way I could put the accurate net carb count, and I checked it against multiple sources. So that way the readers have it all in one spot. I don't want them going to apps and websites that they don't trust. That way they can rely on the foods that I recommend. There's 250 in the book with a 15-page shopping list. And I think it's a great place to get started.
I think that's awesome. People are going to love that part of it.
I just hate flipping around. Like, where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? Like, I want starter recipes, meal planning ideas, carb counts, all in one place. I want it to be as helpful as possible. That was my goal.
Awesome. Done. Achieved.
Done. Check. Check. And this might make you laugh, but I have copies of my own book all over the house. I have one next to my bed. I have one in the kitchen. I got one in the office. I even have one under the seat of my car because I don't remember all the food net carb count. So I'm constantly looking up stuff like, I don't even think I wrote this in my notes, but I even included fast food recommendations. I stole a little bit from our fast food guide and put some just very specific suggestions. So if you're at Starbucks or, McDonald's or something, you can pull out this book and reference it as to what to order.
Yeah. Because, having things easy
in one place.
Convenient. Yeah.
You need it. That's why it's 400 pages.
It takes away some of your excuses,
Exactly.
Okay. In your book, you talk a lot about keto police. Actually, you and I talk a lot about keto police because we see them a lot. So for people who don't know who keto police are, who are they and why do we keep having to deal with them?
I think the keto police are known by many names. Some people call them Karen, which is funny. Sorry, Karens, if you're listening. I don't know why. Some people call them the keto Nazis. Some people call them the food police, a little bit more benign. So they're known by a lot of different names. I can call them some of my family members because some of my own family members, coworkers, and even a spouse at times, I'm sure we can all relate that you've had these people in your life. They cringe when they see you eating something you shouldn't. They offer unsolicited advice about how to lose weight. And they just don't shut up. They just keep, and they're mean sometimes. It might even be the tone or the look that they give you. Yeah. And they think they're being helpful. That's the great irony of the situation.
Yeah. And why do people do that? Like, why do they keep, feeling like they need to monitor what you're eating and tell you what you're eating is wrong?
Well, I put a whole chapter in the book on that, Tamara, because I feel like this can be an area where it derails weight loss. You'll be doing great. Everything's going fine. You're on dirty, lazy keto. And then you show up at, a social situation, one of these food police or Karens or food Nazis or whatever you want to call them, or spouse. No, I'm just kidding. They show up and then all of a sudden they're saying stuff like, oh, you're eating mayonnaise? I thought you were on a diet, right? We've all heard that. Or, oh, you put Splenda in your coffee? I think that causes cancer. I mean, they really do. I mean, I remember I had lost about 50 or 60 pounds and I was at a brunch and someone who I didn't really know who knew I was losing weight? But he looked over at my brunch plate and he goes, "Oh, you'd probably lose more weight if you didn't eat so many eggs." Because I had like a heaping serving of scrambled eggs on my plate with butter. And he was like trying to offer me this advice. And I'm thinking, who the hell are you? Back off my breakfast, sir. Yeah. But still to this day, Tamara, I still encounter these food police all the time.
Well, on the website, on your Facebook, you're very good about stopping people like that. But we spend a lot of time getting those people off, muting them because I don't know. But
yeah, that's why I gave it a whole chapter. It's in there.
Yeah. And that's why I think you're